Okay guys, I'm here today with Mikey Musumeci, huge honor for me. Guys, I think at this point everybody knows Mike. He's 3 times world champion. He's the only American in Jiu-Jitsu who won the world 3 times as a black belt. And today he's gonna show us here how to do the perfect side sweep from De La Riva guard. Right, Mikey?
Yes.
So I'm super excited to learn.
Thank you.
Let's do this.
Okay guys, so before we start working this sweep from De La Riva, I want to discuss something about the body because that's the most important part with sweeping someone. It's the rules of balance. What are the rules of balance? If I'm standing up here and my arm is balanced, I have to have balance with my cross arm and cross leg. My cross arm and cross leg. The second my weight goes on one side with my arm and leg, you fall, okay? So when you're doing De La Riva, it's very important to understand this because what is our objective? If I'm going to sweep my opponent, my objective is to move my opponent's weight and their body distribution to their arm and leg on one side. Now it'll be very easy to make the person fall, okay? So that is the first concept I want you to think about when we're doing the sweep from De La Riva, as well as the rules of posting. A big mistake I'll see people doing in De La Riva is they'll actually punch the shoulder back. What do we need to know about posting? First of all, when the person's on top in De La Riva, if their arms are forward, there's 2 types of grips that they can make on me. One is Toriano grips on my legs. So if I'm in De La Riva on top, their grips could be like this. The other is a collar and leg grip. Today I'm gonna go over when the person's holding Toriano grips on my legs, okay? And what is my hands doing when I'm doing this? I'm posting on him. So what are the rules of posting? The rules of posting are, for me to have a strong post, my shoulder has to be back. So not forward, back. And then my weight's on my palm, okay? That's when my hand is strong in a post. But the second you bring the shoulder forward, look what happens. Now my weight transfers from my palm to my elbow. What does that enable me to do? Once the weight's on the elbow, my elbow will collapse, bending my arm that was straight, okay? So that is what I'm thinking about when I'm playing De La Riva. If I'm here and I punch the shoulder back, look what I'm doing. I'm actually making his arm stronger, okay? And that's when you'll see a lot of people make this mistake. They start punching the shoulder. It's doing the opposite thing that what you need to do. You have to bring the shoulder forward. And then look how the elbow is going to tuck in, making the person collapse. Okay? So that's so important when you're playing De La Riva, and every guard in general, is knowing these rules of the body. Okay? When I was younger, I used to see Jiu-Jitsu as like set guards. I don't really see guards anymore in Jiu-Jitsu. I just see rules of the body. How the body works, and that's all we're doing. We're observing that he's posting his arms on my legs, and we're shutting off the post. Once we get rid of his post, it'll be super easy once his arm is bent to transfer his weight to one side. With our rules of balance, he's going to fall. Okay, so let's see. I'm here in De La Riva. When I'm in De La Riva, also notice if his foot is ever above my hip here. If it walks above my hip, he's going to have pressure on me. And look how difficult it is for me to keep my De La Riva foot in. You see how hard it is? The higher his foot is up. So if you could just walk your foot up. Like, just walk up like your foot. Yeah, you see how my foot can go in? But if I'm back here, look how my foot stays in De La Riva, right? So that's very important as well. Whenever his foot is above my hip, it'll be very difficult for me to put my foot in. What does that mean? Also, if his foot's above my hip, he can start knee cutting me. He can start leg dragging me. All his attacks come when his foot is above my hip. So I always have to stay with my butt behind his foot like so. Either on top of the foot or just in this line where his feet are not above my hip here, okay? Now he won't be able to knee cut me. He won't be able to do any of his attacks going onto me because he has no weight on me, okay? So that is one of the biggest things I'm doing when I'm playing De La Riva as well. What I'm also doing is I'm really paying attention to my foot placement. So another thing that you'll see people do in De La Riva is they'll play with their foot on the leg like so. For him to get over my leg, if my foot is on this part of his leg, he could step over really easy because he could bring his ASIS forward. What is his ASIS? The ASIS is the anterior superior iliac spine. That's the bone right here on his hip. If he could bring his hip bone forward, he'll be able to get over my leg. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go right on his hip bone, right here. So now if he tries to step over, try to move your leg over, it's very hard for him to get over if I go right on that bone on his hip. Opposed to if I'm here, look how easy it is for him to just move and bring that hip forward, you see? So that's very important that I'm always, when I'm playing De La Riva, putting my foot right on that hip bone. So now it's very difficult for him to take this off, you see? And then what's going to happen is when he goes to take it off, he's actually going to get swept. But I still want to just go over the overview first of my body placement, because that's the most important part of De La Riva. It's how I'm framing myself. What are frames? A frame is everything I can make on him to keep distance. If I make, the more frames I have on his body, the harder it's going to be for him to pass my guard. If I have no frames, what does that mean? He could go to mount. He could pass my guard. So every frame that I build on him is my overall fort. A fort is the accumulation of frames. Every time I make my fort, he has to try to get through my fort by taking away my frames, okay? And he has his fort on me as well because he has his frames. So it's a fight of, we both have our fort. I like making Fortnite references, but it's the perfect thing for this scenario because we're both trying to break each other's frames. And if we could get one weak spot in his fort, in his frames, we'll be able to get rid of his fort, making him fall, okay? So my foot's on the ASIS, my foot's in De La Riva, in this direction. Another thing you'll see people making mistakes in De La Riva, they play it on their side of their hip like so. Look how my leg does not stay in his body like this when I'm on this hip. Look how weak my leg is. And you'll see people playing De La Riva like this. And it's very hard for me to keep my leg in if I'm playing like this, right? So something I want you to think about is my head being aligned with his shoulder. In my instructionals, I always tell you guys to drill De La Riva, learning how to place your body by putting my foot in the same line as his shoulder. Now when I go De La Riva, it'll be very easy for me to keep my leg in. And my head is aligned with his knee. Look. So now it's very easy for me to keep my De La Riva in, okay? Now, like I said, there's two worlds of De La Riva. One is when the person's deadlifting and posturing up where they're not placed with their hands on me, right? So now this would be a different type of De La Riva. The type of De La Riva we're going over today is when they have their hands on me, where they're pushing down my legs, right? And there's two families of this. Toriano grips, the collar and leg, right? So what are we going to do? When he's holding the Toriano grips on my legs, I'm going to now work the posting that we said before. For his hand to be strong here, it's when he brings his shoulder back and he pushes down my leg like so, right? Because now his weight's on his palm. So here, so what am I going to do? All I'm going to do is keep my foot on the ASIS. I'm going to control the collar here. And what's going to happen is he's going to try to remove my foot from the back leg and I'm going to pull his shoulder down. When I pull his shoulder down, I'm going to bring my knee up. Look what's going to happen. I pull the shoulder to me. I bring my knee up. Look how his weight goes to his elbow. Look. The second his weight's on his elbow, all I'm going to do is pull forward, my knees to my chest. Look how his foot is going to his tippy toes. When his foot goes to his tippy toes in the back, that's when I know I can start sweeping him. And now I can punch. And he falls. You see? Because what happened? I was able to transfer all his weight to one side of his body, which is our rules of balance. If we can accomplish that, he will fall.
Man, that's amazing, Mike. So again.
So I'm here. I'm in De La Riva. My foot aligned with his shoulder. You want to practice learning how to position your body perfect in this spot. I recommend you putting your foot on the shoulder like so, and then putting the De La Riva hook in. Now I'll be perfectly placed with my body, right? And again, his foot cannot be above my leg. If his foot's above my leg, this will make my foot very hard to keep my foot in. Which I go over in other series, how to play De La Riva if the foot's above the hip, okay? And how we can even adjust this. But for now, all we're doing is my foot's on his shoulder. I go De La Riva. My foot goes to the hip bone right here. I have the collar like so. So he's going to start pushing down my De La Riva hook. He's going to be here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the shoulder, bringing my knee up, pulling the shoulder. Look how his elbow bends. Now his weight's off of his palm. He's very weak here now. So I pull forward. I bring my knees to my chest. Now I'm just going to punch the shoulder, making his body fall. Okay, now I end up in this spot right here.
Oh, Mike, one question here. So from this spot, what are our options here? You can go to the green ball and go to the back?
Or you could sweep. There's so many options. We could hook the leg. We could come up to a sweep.
Got it.
We could go ball to the back.
Got it.
We could pull this leg out and go to the foot lock here.
Got it.
You see, we have so many options.
So your main goal is to arrive there.
To arrive there.
The person falls and you get there.
Yes, and if you stay up, posting your hand to not fall, then we could attack the arm as well.
I got it.
There's just so many options from these spots, you know. I just want you guys to have this overview of getting to this spot, and then you could choose however you want to finish. But basically, like Bernardo said, we could come up with a sweep. We could go berimbolo because his butt's on the floor. So we have many series with the butt on the floor, right? We have berimbolo, we have the foot lock, we have sweeps. There's so many things you can do. you know.
From that spot.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Mike. Yeah. So guys, I'm feeling like I'm talking for like a neuroscientist here. So no, Mike, it's really amazing like how many details and concepts you're putting together of this position, and a lot of stuff like I never thought about it. So for example, this detail that you gave about putting the foot, not letting the person put the foot under the hip, that was amazing. Like I had never thought about it. And the other thing that caught my attention a lot as well is like how hard it is to push your what's going on here.
So it's right on the hip bone.
I got it.
If it was over here, your hip bone could come forward.
Can push.
You see, but every time it's here, for you to come forward and you try to remove it, a lot of times I sweep people when they try to remove this, they take a step back. And now look how you fall.
I got it. Yeah.
You see,
so
it's right on the hip bone.
Man, that's amazing. No, that's amazing. So keep going away.
So we're here again. My foot's right on the hip bone. It's very difficult for him to remove it, right? I never let his foot get in front of my hip. If it gets above my hip, now he has pressure on me. He can knee cut me. He can folding past me. He can do so many things. So we always stay aligned with my foot on his shoulder. Now look how my foot's in. It's very hard for him to take out my foot when I'm square like this. If I was on my side, look how easy it is for him to remove my hook. My foot's so weak. So when I'm like this, look how hard it is for him to remove my hook. Now I put my foot here, and now I can cut the collar. He's pushing down my leg, right? He's using his palm. So all we do is I bring my knee up, I pull his shoulder forward. Look how I bend his elbow. The second I bend his elbow, I pull his shoulder forward to me. Look how his base is completely going to this side. And now look what I do. Because his elbow's bent, now I can punch and his elbow's gonna tuck and fall. You see? Now his butt goes to the floor. I could sweep the person. I have so many options. And what I tried to do in my series is I tried to give you guys different DVDs for different options, right? Because every time the person's butt goes to the floor, we could attack a submission on the foot, we could sweep the person, or we could attack the back, right? So we go over so many of those things in all my series.
Yeah, so guys, Mikey is filming a lot of instructional videos with us, with BJJ Fanatics, and only for the De La Riva guard, for example, it has a different volumes and different series. And that's exactly because what he was explaining. There are so many options that he can apply that he's creating different instructions for different options, and it's coming out like really, really good. So man, that was amazing.
And I feel like that's the reason why I'm showing you guys it like this is because, like Professor Bernardo was saying, every grip that the person does is a different world and a different way that our brain has to think of the spot. So for me, the most important thing is observation. When you're able to observe what your opponent's doing, you'll know exactly where to go, right? So I really paid a lot of attention to every single grip that person could make on us in De La Riva, every reaction they could give us. So that's why I wanted to give you guys material for each. So there's no questions for you guys, you know. I really studied this position. I did all the work for you guys. Now that's it. Like, you'll have an answer to every spot in De La Riva.
Yeah. Oh, Mike, I promise the last question here. So how did you develop this mindset? Because a lot of times we meet athletes that they're really, really, really good fighters, but the science behind of what they do is not there. Like, they know what they do, like by impulse, but not having the knowledge and the
like they subconsciously do things.
So how did you develop this mindset?
So for me, my favorite part of jiu-jitsu is not actually competing. It's just studying jiu-jitsu. I really enjoy the body, like how the body works, you know, like, so I would always be drilling with people for hours, sometimes 4 or 6 hours a day, with the person giving me different reactions, and I'll be like, what if I do this? What if I do this? And then once it's so exciting to think of jiu-jitsu like that, you know, it becomes like a puzzle. And once you have then you start like trying to find answers for everything.
And putting the puzzles together.
And that's the only reason I still compete is because I enjoy like fighting the best guys because they give me new reactions to moves. They train all day to like stop my positions. So it's exciting to me like, oh, well, I have an answer to the new reaction. And if I don't, I could learn a new reaction and then build a new thing.
Amazing. No, that's amazing. Yeah, guys, and all instructional videos from Mike is at BJJFanatics.com, including all the De La Riva guard series. So make sure to check that out. And thanks so much, Mike.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Please help me out to grow my YouTube channel. Just click subscribe. And to watch more videos, just click under see more videos. I hope you enjoyed.
BJJFanatics.com. Use the promo code YouTube Faria to get 10% off any instructional video. Improve your jiu-jitsu faster.